So, David, for those out there who don't know you, could you tell us a bit about yourself?
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. My name is David Black. I'm a life coach. Specifically, I help people in relationships, careers, and through and in spiritual awakenings. I've been doing this coaching quite a long time, since 2009. Uh, I was basically doing it for family, friends, colleagues, and interested people. But I lost my job in July of last year as an estimator. And at that time, it's like, wow, there were some other things lining up, you could say, in the cosmos, and it was a really great sign for me. Hey, hang your shingle professionally as a life coach and do it, for the masses. And so here I am. This is actually my first podcast ever, and so I'm here to be in service of others and to assist them with their challenges, struggles, accomplish goals, and as they so choose, to guide them through a gracious awakening process.
Wow. Okay, so I love how you say that the universe aligned. So when things go wrong, well, it seems like it's going wrong. It's really just working for us, right, in the long run. So, yeah, when you say that you're a relationship coach, what made you get into this line, by the way? Like, what made you get into wanting to help people?
Wow, that's a great question, and it's a little bit loaded.
Go for it. Go for it.
For
My
Yeah,
audience loves loaded, so go for it.
I love it. So for me, uh, my journey, I've always been inclined spiritually ever since I was a young child, and I was always interested in God, religion, morals, ethics. Uh, and I became a Christian at a really young age at Bible school, like vacation Bible school, when I was like maybe in third grade or something. And it was a very interesting life for me, but things really the light turned on through a situation where my brother was a cocaine addict and alcoholic. And so when I was 15, he was 16. Our family did a professional psychology classic intervention, and my grandparents flew out from Indiana. The whole family was there, and we were coached and trained by a licensed psychologist on how to intervene into his addictive lifestyle and create boundaries, and to love him. I guess it's tough love. Provide some tough love and say, hey, you're out of control, and we love you deeply, and we are willing to risk our relationship with you, because as you do your drugs and as you do your thing currently, there is no relationship. It's a lie. At that point in time, being exposed to that level of self-help and psychology, I came alive. I'm like, wow, this stuff is amazing. The funny part is, I learned then that I and my family was fucked up, and I'm like, and I celebrated
It's
that.
a
I'm
good
like, oh my
lesson to
gosh,
learn.
I, I'm not alone, and it provided some relief to what was going on. I'm like, wow, we're not the only family out there who's dealing with this, or who has these uh, patterns in life. So that's where it all started for you. It was that intervention. I got turned on, and something happened to me, like the inner conversation I was even having at that time with spirit was a gift, because a voice nudged me into saying, I looked at my family, I looked at my parents, I looked at these things, and I said, I don't want to, when I grow up, I don't want to be like that. And
Right.
the wisdom was, well, who are you going to be like then?
Right.
Who then are you going to be? So I had an example of what not to do. And then the challenge to me came, well, who are you going to turn into? So I chose then to not look at what was wrong with my family or my life, but I realized I had to not just avoid the wrongness. I needed a focus of rightness in my life.
That is beautiful
And that,
because so many people focus on what they're not going to do that they end up actually becoming that because their
yeah,
energy is really just focused on that negativity. But you
yeah,
had that inner wisdom and the higher voice or whatever words people want to use for it. People even can say God spoke to you that
absolutely.
yeah,
I would.
that
I
you
would say that. I wouldn't
yeah,
hesitate one bit. I just
exactly.
want to be, uh, I want to relate to as many people as I can. So I'll use the word spirit, God, Jesus. For me, they intertwine very nicely. And uh, the unconditional love is the through point. That's the key.
Yeah, I think like people get stuck on the word and they block off information based on the fact that they don't resonate with the word. But I think that that is irrelevant. I think I believe in God. My religion is I'm not a Christian, but I de I definitely have a strong relationship with God or conversations with God. But having
Yes.
said that, I also think the word higher self, I think the inner knowing, I think it's the same
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
So so the word doesn't
Yeah.
matter to me. But
I agree with you, and I invite people as they listen in is to truly be flexible, because for them, I invite you to lean into what wisdom might be here for you, not the technicalities of exactly how it's said, but I know there's something here for people who are listening that's going to create a little bit of a breakthrough, if not a major breakthrough. I like to call those aha moments, or like an epiphany.
yeah, like Oprah's aha moments, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I believe that's what we're up to here today in sharing my story. It happened for me, and it happens to me very frequently as I stay in my spiritual practice. And through our conversation, I'm inviting people to do the same.
Okay, so having said that, what is your spiritual practice?
Wow. It, I use a verse in the Bible that says, "Walk humbly with thy God."
That's
And so
beautiful.
I have, and, and then I can get real technical with, in computer terminology, I created micros or macros, keystrokes. So what this really means is, uh, I used to, when I prayed, I used to go, God, please, please help, help over here. Oh, yeah, I need this, I need that, I need this. Oh, over here. Yep, please help. And it was a very anxious, uh, it wasn't a conversation. It was like just me asking like a lot for
Right,
stuff.
right, right.
And then as I matured and I discovered more and deepened into graciousness and awareness, I found that I realized there's another verse that says, He knows the prayers you have before you even pray them.
Yes, I love that. We have
And,
that same kind of feeling in my religion as well. I'm a Sikh, and it's the same
okay,
thing where God knows your inner heart more than you do. I just love that.
yes.
Yeah.
Now this is where it gets exciting. I believe that. So what happened was, when I believed that, I started to just breathe.
Right. You can
If He
release that
knows my
anxiety.
prayers, yes, if He knows my prayers and hears them before I speak them, it's like, then why am I so crazy about asking with my voice? He's listening to my heart. If He's listening to my heart, why don't I listen to my heart? Literally take time to just breathe and have an audible sigh multiple times a day. And so as I have a request for an answer or for a circumstance to come through, I simply put it into my heart. And I know with each beat, God has already heard that. And so as I walk, I would literally walk forth in prayer. As I take a step, it is me praying. As I breathe my breath, this is me praying. There's no longer a separation of when my mouth opens and when my prayer begins and stops.
That is so beautiful. I just love that. So you're constantly connected to the higher being.
Constantly.
Yeah. That is beautiful.
Yes.
Uh,
This is the truth for everyone. and it's a part of, I would say, maturing into truly and believing, like, oh my gosh, what they said was right. What they said about an omniscient, omnipresent God. Whoa, wow. And you really think, when it, this is a fun term. When it starts to thank you, your life is never going to be the same.
Oh, I love that. Can you say that again? One more time?
When spirit or inspiration starts to thank you, your life will never be the same.
Okay, you need to explain that.
Okay. It, it's summarized, and it's a common phrase. It's a person being versus a person doing.
Okay.
And we've
So,
we've heard that before in these conversations where I go to work and I do estimating, and I do this and I do that, and I come home and I'm with my lady, and I do loving her, and I write cards and notes to her, and I'm doing these things. But when love starts to live you, it it like it it's like a lighthouse. Your heart turns into a lighthouse, and a beacon of energy permeates into your surroundings of who you are, not what you're doing.
that is so beautiful. I love that. And how would people get aligned with this way of being? How would you recommend to your clients that they get aligned?
Well, it's helpful if you're not doing it alone.
Okay.
Number one key is to have a mentor, a coach. Um, you put the name on it you want, but have someone who is more mature. Like earlier on, I said, I don't want to be this, but who do I want to be? So I picked people in my life, like heroes, that I wanted to be like. Jesus was one of them. I wanted to be like the man. And then there was a
If you're gonna
Christian.
go, go big, right?
Yeah, yeah. And
Reach
then
for
there
the
was
stars.
a, 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 um, a Christian psychologist, Dr. James Dobson, who talked daily on the radio about how to have a great family life. And And so I said, I want to be like him. And so I listened to his program daily. And I learned, I picked a goal of where I wanted to go, and I focused on that to become that. Where if we drive our car and we're looking off to the right into the ditch, and we constantly look into the ditch, before long, you're going to turn into the ditch.
That's so exactly true. Do you believe in the law of attraction?
Absolutely. I believe in the law of attraction. I've enjoyed for many years being a student of Abraham Hicks, as spoken through the channel of Esther Hicks and
Yeah.
Jerry, late Jerry. So, yeah,
So basically,
love it.
it's the same idea, right? So if you're focusing on what you don't want, you will eventually get that because your mind is focusing on that. When you focus on the positive and what you do want, then that's what you'll attract into your life. So many people get stuck in that cycle of saying, I'll never have this or I'll never do this, but then they end up attracting that negativity into their life. So
Yes.
yeah, it's beautiful.
Unfortunately,
It's
yeah.
beautiful how everything's connected and linked at the same time. When we think we're separate, when we think we are this, like we are this religion, you are that religion, we have this belief, you have that belief, but everything is linked.
Yes, it's a beautiful tapestry. And when a person, a craftsman, is making a tapestry, a carpet, where on the backside it's it looks really messy, and the strings and the loose ties and the different colors, they don't make a picture whatsoever. That's more or less what we see, and we're like, there's no connection, this is not making any sense. Yet when we have those aha moments and we have an elevated perspective, we catch a glimpse of the front side of that tapestry, and it's a beautiful masterpiece of an image and a picture.
I love that analogy. That's beautiful. So, okay, so this is one side of what you do, which is helping people go through a spiritual awakening.
Yes.
And I'd love to talk about what a spiritual awakening really is. What does that mean?
Wow. Um, Let me say first that as a person on a spiritual path and on an awakening path, I myself am simply on the path. I have not arrived. I don't believe in a spiritual awakening is a destination. I believe currently, currently, I believe it's a path and it is a journey. And it's a time where I am in school and I learn and I grow and then I graduate that soul lesson. And then I, delightfully find that there's a new perspective, a higher perspective to learn from and to gather. It's like being in a hot air balloon. The hot air will lift the balloon up maybe 50 feet, 100 feet. And then when we release and cut away a sandbag, and let's say that's some emotional trauma from our past, or let's say it's being in a negative relationship with a narcissist, and we release that sandbag, naturally our consciousness and our perspective raises higher. And we're able to see more of the territory. We're able to see more of the land and the contours, and it has a different look and feel to us. That to me, in a long sentence, is spiritual awakening. And it's best done not in a hurry. There is no hurry. There's no like, I got to get awakened first, or I got to awaken best. These are not helpful constructs for a student who's pursuing awakening.
Yeah, it's not a competition. I actually had,
No,
yeah, exactly. I had a question from one of my clients who asked, does everyone have to hit rock bottom before reaching an awakening? And I thought I would ask you this question.
my answers to that is no,
Okay.
because the spirit is always available to hearing a word of wisdom. And 10 miles before rock bottom, the spirit and that being is capable of listening, whether they choose to or not. you know uh, it's a matter of choice.
I had the
I
same
myself,
answer. So what I said to her was, you know how we get these whispers of intuition and we ignore them and we keep going. And then maybe we get a small rock on our shoulder warning us and we ignore the rock and we keep going. And then maybe a bigger rock comes in like a bigger warning and we ignore that, we keep going. And then finally a massive rock hits us and then, we ignore that too and then we fall into a big ditch. And that's when we're like, oh, I didn't see any of the signs. Where did this hole come from? So, so basically, and then that's when we climb out of the hole and that come out to like a better version of ourselves. If
yeah,
I mean, because that's what the higher self wants for us. It wants us to be
yes,
the best version of ourselves, right? So
yeah,
I love that you say that, yeah, you don't have to actually hit rock bottom. You don't have to fall into that ditch. You could, but I feel once you have fallen into that ditch, you have a very clear understanding of what the signs were that asked you to stop. And in the future, you would be a lot more susceptible to hearing that intuition.
yeah,
And so sometimes it can help with your like you said with the hot air balloon when you release the sandbag. If you
yeah,
didn't have the sandbag in the first place, being at that height wouldn't mean as much. Being at the new height that you achieved wouldn't mean as much because you were always there. But because you had the
yeah.
sandbag holding you back, so when it gets released, you suddenly appreciate that new level so much more, don't you think?
Yes and no.
Okay, I would love to hear.
Yes,
I would
because
love to hear why
yes,
yes and
because
no.
I absolutely love the virtue of appreciation. And the virtue of appreciation loves attention and to be noticed and to be talked about. And from that pure space to go, I appreciate this beauty, this essence. When it comes to, I heard you say that because of the sandbag, that level had a meaning. Well, in spiritual awakening, the the higher I'm just going to say this. The ego versus the higher self, the ego, and it's not versus, they're actually, I want them to work in tandem,
Okay.
but the ego is the meaning maker, not
Yes.
the, not the purpose fulfiller.
Oh, so beautiful.
Higher
You have
self
to
is
say that again one more time because that is
so the higher
quotable.
self
That
is
is
the
amazing.
purpose fulfiller, and the ego is the meaning maker. When
Yes,
I
beautiful.
sandbag to you or someone listening, as ego has more prevalence in that person's life, they'll make my words mean something. But in some ways, my words are truly meaningless. Yet, what they are here to do is to fulfill a purpose. And the purpose that I represent is unconditional love.
So your higher self purpose is unconditional love.
Unconditional love.
Is a human truly capable of giving that? Because in my view, only the highest God can or the higher self can. I don't think human beings are capable of it. But I would love to hear your how you represent that. I would just love to hear with no judgment whatsoever. I would just love to hear that.
Sure. As we view ourselves as humans who who is a body, it's less it's less likely to be living or being lived by unconditional love because there's so many other thought and spiritual thought forms and apparatuses at work. As a person realizes this is this body is not I, and I am not this body, and there's a gap, unconditional love will have more free reign in that person's life. So it's not that one can't exist in the other. I enjoy experiencing my life grow in percentages like a pie graph. And so I see myself improve in areas and categories of life in percentages. It's no longer all or nothing. It's like, hey, I'm 2% better today. Woohoo! Or I'm 10% better. And so it's not that a human who is misspelt, rather, I love to spell the human Hue, hue, like light, men. We are beings of light. We're humans. So the more we resonate that we are humans, I would suggest the playful metaphor that more unconditional love can be lived through you, and others will have that experience
That's
of you
lovely.
as unconditional love.
That's beautiful. So I actually want to go on and talk about how you're a relationship coach. And
Yes.
I would love if you could give some advice on what you see couples today need.
Wow. Love it. I'm with my lady now for 4+ years. We are not married. I don't believe in marriage. I speak against marriage because I believe in engagement. We're engaged. Now let me describe that.
Okay.
Because of where I came from, to understand more of this theory is to understand more of my childhood where my parents had a terrible marriage.
Okay.
They fought every night. I went to bed crying nearly nightly of the heartfelt pain I was in.
Oh, yeah.
So what again, spirit, guided me, and I said, what do I want in a relationship? I want the horse in front of the cart. So here's where we kind of mince words, okay? Um, for me to have the horse in my relationship in front of the cart is that I go to her each day, not once a week, not once a year, or on the day that we get married and when we promise vows. But every day I'm asking her, yo, hey, babe, are we good? What's going on between you and I? Is everything on the table? Do we have any skeletons in our closets that we need to bring out for each other? I'm about having a great relationship, not a marriage.
I love
But
that.
my great relationship can, as her and I choose to, we can go before a clergy or a judge and we can get a piece of paper that stamps us approved by society as having a marriage. But my goal is not that. My goal is to have a great relationship first and foremost. After that, we can name it anything we want. We can name it Barnum and Bailey's, three-ring circus, because it very well might be. If her and I are good, let no man put us under.
That's beautiful. So the idea is that you appreciate each other every single day and not taking each other for granted, basically.
It's there's nothing basic about it. Yet there are some things that are simple. The number one most important thing is to understand that I would suggest a relationship exists in the context of your conversation, and to the quality of your conversation will be the quality of your rapport and your joy in that relationship.
Okay, so the quality is basically determined by your communication. Is that right?
Yes. Until we can read each other's minds and we obtain, higher level skill sets, we're stuck with she just did that and my ego meaning maker made it mean something, and now I'm left to my own mind and it's kind of reeling and I have no idea what's happening until I open my mouth and go, hey babe, what's this about, or can you explain that to me? I'd love to learn from you.
So,
And
really, it's about being conscious and aware of the meanings that our own ego places on the other person. So, assessments that we might make that may not be based on truth, but based on our ego, and really just catching ourselves in our own thoughts and then communicating them to the partner, to our
yes,
partners. Yeah.
yes, and doing it set in such a way where graciousness is lived as the highest virtue between the two of you, to practice being gracious with each other in all aspects of your communication, and all aspects of your touch, and all aspects of your relating. That grace would be king.
That is beautiful. The graciousness is the key. I love that. So I actually reached out again to another follower, to my followers, and one follower asked that she said that I still love my boyfriend, but
Yeah.
he had an affair,
Okay.
and I. She said that I feel so much love. I felt so much love for him that I just couldn't understand why, and she thinks that he self sabotaged,
Okay.
and she doesn't know whether to hold on and try to salvage it or to let it go like a sandbag, basically, like you said.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Yeah. So, what advice would you have for anyone in that situation who is, they feel that unconditional love, but the other
Yes.
party is not returning that? What do you think would be good advice for somebody in that situation?
Is firstly to realize that in all romantic relationships, we are in a form of currency. We are exchanging our life's force energy with one another in exchange for what they give back to us. If your if your trade agreement is leaving you empty at the end of the day, it's not a healthy relationship for you, even though unconditional love may be very pronounced for you. It's helpful to be practical and spiritual at the same time, to realize, am I getting my needs met in conjunction with this current trade agreement with this person? And if you find that you're a giver, 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 and your cup's not being filled, you got nothing else to give, and and that's short circuiting that person's uh, evolution for the world. So that relationship, as a community member, I would my vote would be renegotiate or find a better relationship where you're both creating mutual win-wins. And it really doesn't have much to do with if you unconditionally love them or not.
That's beautiful. I think there's a lot of wisdom in the old saying where it says relationships are give and take, based on give and take. And I think,
Yes.
yeah, so if one person's only giving and the other person's only taking, then that relationship isn't going to feel very positive after a short while. And so, yeah, it has to be mutual. That's
And
beautiful.
what
Yeah.
what could be happening is we get set up pre-incarnation. We get set up in birth. We get set up in childhood to sometimes gravitate towards less than healthy relationships because they are gardens in which we will grow from. And shit is a great fertilizer. So
Uh,
we may choose for times to be in shitty relationships. The request and the prayer would be is that they would have a gentle upward nudging for the person to grow, from that fertilizer and to turn into the rose and turn into the beautiful tree that they are.
That's so
But it's
such
not
a
a
beautiful
requirement.
analogy. I love all your analogies, by the way. Like I
it,
swear, like I've got this interview has just given me such beautiful insight into
oh,
spirituality, into relationships, and your analogies are perfect because they make it so easy to understand. And I'm sure
oh,
they're going to help lots of people who are listening in. So, if you could leave
yes.
off with one final bit of advice on uh, on anyone who's living a life that isn't their best life, what advice would that be?
It's twofold. Put on the front of your mind, relax. All spiritual awakening, all gold, all treasure comes through relaxing, is my suggestion. It's not out of hard work. Abraham Hicks would clarify that as well. It's not out of the hard work that we receive our treasures. It's through relaxing into them. So it's to relax. And I had another comment and it left me for now.
Oh, well, I
Oh,
guess you have to
that,
stay
but
tuned.
no, it just lived me. It just lived me. Laugh.
Laugh.
Relax and laugh.
I love that. That's so
See
powerful.
how that just
Yeah.
lived me. I was fallible. I was making a mistake. My mind failed me, but the virtue of laughter did not fail me because I was willing to let it live me and I laughed and it was a release. I'm like, hey, it
Now I
wasn't the
remember.
perfect interview, but oh my, it just became the perfect interview
Yeah.
through laughter,
Yes. That is so beautiful.
relaxation and laughter.
I love that. I love that advice. And I think more people, if they follow it, will really lead to living their best lives. And it's an amazing reminder. And it's morning here for me. So I'm going to try to embody my day with relaxation and laughter. So I really appreciate that advice.
Beautiful.
Okay, so if any of you guys want to reach out to David, I'll leave his links below. And David, I really enjoyed this conversation so much. I learned so much from you. So I so appreciate you coming on here.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for this time and thank you for your love.
Thank you.